If you are thinking about having bariatric surgery, you've probably heard there are a lot of lifestyle changes you're going to have to make. And you may have even heard some rumors or some things that aren't true from people who don't know that much or don't have any experience with bariatric surgery. So I'm making this video so that you understand what the common lifestyle changes are for people who have bariatric surgery. And you can even start making those changes now before you have surgery. And I will tell you, it will make your life after surgery so much easier. It will save you a lot of struggle and just make your life a lot smoother. If you start before you have surgery, you have time to make these habits second nature so that you're really used to them and you're kind of in a groove once you do have your surgery. All right, my name is Sean. I had a mini gastric bypass in March 2022. I've lost 140 pounds or 88% of my excess weight. And I am a former health journalist. I've worked for a weight loss clinic and I help people who are thinking about having bariatric surgery. All right, so let's talk about these lifestyle changes that you can start now to make your life easier once you do have surgery. The first one is that you're going to have to separate eating and drinking. After you have bariatric surgery, you won't be able to eat and drink at the same time. You won't be able to drink with your meals. Every surgeon is different about how much time you have to wait between eating and drinking. One standard is to separate them by 30 minutes. So no eating for 30 minutes after you drink and no drinking for 30 minutes after you eat. My surgeon's rule is I can't drink for 30 minutes after I eat, but I can drink up to 5 minutes before I eat. So 5 minutes before, 30 minutes after. I've heard some surgeons say 20-20. I've heard some other different configurations. So when you talk with your surgeon, ask them they'll tell you what they advise, but be sure you understand what it is. But it's a good way. You can start practicing now, even if it's just for 15-15, just to kind of get used to the habit of not drinking with your meals, and you get used to blocking out that time. And the other thing that really is important that I struggled with in the beginning was you're still going to have to get all of your hydration, and you have less time to drink if you're not drinking during your meals. So you really want to figure out, how do you get enough hydration when you're having to block out that time of drinking? Okay, but that's one habit you're going to have to adopt once you have bariatric surgery is eating and drinking separately. The next thing is how you eat. You're going to have to eat smaller bites. And you're going to have to chew really thoroughly. So you can practice taking smaller bites. Some people decide to switch to tiny spoons or children's utensils or baby utensils. I personally don't do that. Like, I feel like you're an adult, you deserve to eat off a regular size fork, but just take smaller bites. And then practice chewing each bite at least 30 times. And if you can start that habit before you have surgery, again, it'll become second nature and it'll make your life so much easier once you have surgery. The third habit is activity. If you're not already in the habit of getting some activity every day, now's a good time to start. When you first have surgery, you're not going to be able to do really rigorous exercise, and you're going to be restricted in terms of how much you lift. But once you get past the healing phase, then you're going to want to have some activity every day. Again, every surgeon will give you a different recommendation, but you can start now with just where you are. So, if walking is accessible and comfortable for you, just start doing some walking. I will tell you that when I was at my highest weight before I had surgery, I weighed 304 pounds. I had such bad back pain. I could not walk more than a quarter of a mile without needing to sit down. It was so bad that I was scared to go to grocery stores. And I also had really bad knee pain. So I started with doing chair aerobics. I found some chair aerobic videos on YouTube, and I just did the chair aerobics. If that's all you can do, just start there. And then I worked up to just walking short distances. Like, I started walking one house over. I had to start there, and then I challenged myself to walk 2 houses over. And eventually, I worked up to, walking longer distances. But just start with where you are and find some videos or activities that are accessible to you, and just start doing some activity every day. You don't have to work out for a whole hour. You don't have to work out for 30 minutes. Even if you're doing 5 or 10 minute blocks of activity, it all counts. Just start doing some activity over time. Before your surgery and after surgery, you'll get better at it. You'll want to try some new things. You'll challenge yourself and you'll be able to do more. A year after my surgery, I took a vacation and I was walking 6 or 7 miles a day, no problem. And I strength train and I love using the rower. So just start where you are and it will improve over time. But give yourself permission and be proud of yourself for starting where you are. But start developing a habit of doing some daily activity. All right, the fourth thing, and this is controversial. Some surgeons say you should do this, and some don't. But no carbonated drinks, no sodas, no diet sodas. The thinking is that the bubbles can cause some issues with your new stomach. Personally, I just don't find it comfortable. Like I tried it and it just feels really uncomfortable after surgery. So some surgeons say no soda, no carbonated drinks. So that's something that you can start doing before your surgery. As you can just start limiting or completely cutting out surgery. So that way you're used to it after your procedure. And you may even take some time to find some substitutes that are really tasty that just don't have any bubbles. Okay, the next one is also one that some surgeons recommend and some surgeons, don't really have a preference on, and that is drinking without straws. Um, the thinking is that you take in more air with a straw. Again, some surgeons say it's okay to drink with straws, so talk to your surgeon about what they recommend for you. But that's a habit that you can start before surgery, is just drinking straight out of your glass and not using a straw. All right, the next habit that you can start is taking a daily multivitamin or taking supplements. My surgeon had me start my bariatric vitamins, I think about a month to 6 weeks before my procedure. Your surgeon may recommend something similar. If you're not already in the habit of taking a multivitamin, just buy an over-the-counter multivitamin. And what you want to do is just get into the routine of having like a time every day and a place where you store your vitamins. So that way you've got a habit, and give yourself the time to work out the kinks, so that way by the time you do have your surgery, you're in a routine and it's something you don't even think about. It just happens automatically. So it's a good idea to start. And I mean, just get something over the counter right now, unless your surgeon wants you to start taking bariatric vitamins before your procedure. But just get into the habit so you build the routine and it just becomes a no-brainer for you. The other habit that you can adopt before surgery is meal times. Talk to your surgeon or your surgeon's dietitian, but they may want you to switch to smaller, more frequent meals. So my surgeon, their rule was as many as it takes to get your protein. Some surgeons say, 5 or 6 small meals a day. Some surgeons want you to stick to 3 meals a day. Whatever your surgeon recommends, that's a habit that you can start putting into place now and change your lifestyle. And really, they may give you some advice on the composition of your meals. Some may want you to do a Mediterranean style diet. Some may want you to do a low carb diet. Whatever it is, that start getting into those habits now. It takes a while to figure out how to eat. And so if you can give yourself a head start, like if they want you to do multiple meals, like 5 or 6 meals throughout the day, figuring out how to portion them all, how to do your meal planning, and how to make sure you've got your meals, like if you go to work and you have to take your meals with you, what kinds of containers are you going to use? Where are you going to store it? What kind of routine, just getting into a routine. What you really want to do is get into the routine so it's really easy and you're just kind of in a groove once you have your surgery. And then the last lifestyle change, it's really important, is hydration. I mentioned this earlier. You're going to want to get into a habit of drinking at least 64 ounces a day. The government recommendation for hydration is 11 ounces a day for women, and I believe 15 ounces, I'm sorry, 11 cups a day for women, and 15 cups a day for men, and a cup is 8 ounces. And some surgeons recommend 96 ounces a day. So the real thing that you want to do is just get into the habit of drinking. Get into the habit of taking a water bottle with you if you drink out of water bottles. I use mason jars. Here's my mason jar. I use this 16-ounce mason jar, and it's got the measurements on the side. And I just track, I know that if I drink at least 4 of these, then I've hit my 64 ounces for the day. So just get into the habit of staying hydrated. It is super important, especially immediately after your surgery. One of the biggest risks after surgery is getting dehydrated. And it's going to be hard. It's going to take you a little time to work up to 64 ounces, but just start developing the habit. And then that's going to be a lifelong habit, is just to stay hydrated. You don't want to get dehydrated, because once you get dehydrated, it's hard to catch up. So get into that habit now. Okay, so those are lifestyle changes that you can make now before you have your bariatric surgery. So if you are planning and you need some help, I help people who are thinking about bariatric surgery by offering one-on-one peer support. This is not medical support. I'm not a medical professional, but what I do is I help people figure out all the planning that you have to do to save you some time, save you some frustration, and maybe even save you some money. And sometimes it just really helps to have somebody who's been there, who gets it, and who understands what it's like to go through this, just to be there for you. And so if you're interested in having a one-on-one call with me, you think it'll be helpful for you, look in the video description. There's a link to my Calendly, and you can find some time that works for you. And we can have a 1-hour phone call, or we can do a Zoom, and we'll talk about the things that you're concerned about and the things that are really important to you. I can help you understand what the different procedures are so you can make an informed decision with your surgeon. I can help you understand what to do if your insurance denies you. I can help you have some tools to help find a surgeon and what to look for. If you're thinking about having surgery abroad, again, I can help you find the right tools to find a good surgeon. And just overall support. So if that's something you're interested in, click the Calendly link in the video description and find some time, and I look forward to working with you. After our call, I'll send you a personalized follow-up email that recaps everything that we've talked about. I'll give you a list of resources so you can basically have a roadmap to follow to plan your way to having surgery and getting on the road to reaching your health goals. I look forward to working with you.